what advice do you have for your younger self that someone could take?
Find what you really feel the Lord's called you to do, and then get in that lane and don't look back. Don't get discouraged, but don't subscribe to, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, if you're starting your own thing, you should expect it to be underwater for the first couple of years. You're not going to make money for the first 3, 4, 5 years. You can do stuff supernaturally well, supernaturally quickly. There's no reason that you can't be profitable year one.
Thank you for saying that.
And I think so. Don't come in with that negative expectation of this is going to have to fail before it succeeds. It might. Don't give up, but it doesn't have to. You can succeed year one.
Yeah. Brother Jonathan, we're here.
Dude, appreciate you having me, man.
This is your stage, brother. I want to say that meeting you a number of months back, I feel like a lot of things happen in life. And if we're intentional, we can get to the gold eventually with the fruit that a relationship bears, whether it's business deals or just a good accountability partner, or even just really good iron sharpening iron.
Amen, brother.
Because Proverbs, I think it's Proverbs. Isn't it in Proverbs that says iron sharpens iron?
Yeah.
Is that in Psalms? I think it's in Proverbs. And I know that you've done that for me. We've had a few coffee meetings, and now you're in my house.
Oh man, dude, we made it. Every time we meet too, I leave with about 1,000 great ideas because JoJo's constantly coming up with fantastic ideas. Yeah.
It's my blessing, and it's the curse of not knowing which one to start.
Dude, yeah, and then when the $1 billion one hits, we'll all be here. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I have a saying, when the water rises, so do all the ships. And so I've been really looking for my inner circle. And I think I'm really grateful that you can be one of them right now.
Oh, dude, I appreciate that. I feel the same with you. And I love that saying. So with Triumph, we'll say the inner team will say everybody gets a slice, which is the whole story behind that about how when it started out, some of us may have been delivering pizzas. And so that's kind of my thing is every time we win, everyone on the team wins. Everybody gets a slice.
Yeah. So you mentioned Triumph. I would love to hear a bit of your backstory, maybe a little bit of your childhood, or even just what inspired you to start Triumph in the first place.
So I actually started without meaning to in undergrad, just helping out a few buddies from church who had fantastic business ideas. And I was going to business school at the time, so it seemed like a perfect match. Didn't think much of it, never really planned to do anything with it anytime soon. Finished up those projects, graduated, moved very far away to Washington, D.C., and actually started working for the federal government, a national security agency. So not business related whatsoever. And then while I was working there, it's been a ride. Things happened. Had a family member pass away, and I came back to Georgia for a little while. And it was one of those situations where obviously that's always sad, but it happened the best possible way it could have. It was sad at the time, but looking back, it was actually a great time in life, great experience. But during that, I stepped away from my job at the federal agency. So I go back to DC, no longer working for the federal agency, looking to step into probably another agency. I hadn't really thought about it. What do people do at that point? Work for the government again, I guess. I started doing articles for some of my friends who were working on business stuff. I was like, well, I got some time. They have some questions. I got a lot of friends with great ideas. Give me something to do. So I started writing articles, and I realized I should probably put them somewhere. So we started the Triumph website, which at its beginning was actually just free how-to articles for business stuff. And we sold a couple shirts, I think. We literally sold, I say literally a couple. I think we sold 2. Not a great business model, but it was a lot of fun.
It's a start.
It's a start. It's exactly. Everything's a start. So that's how we started, was free articles online from a buddy's basement I was staying in at the time. So high beginnings. And then that started getting a little bit of steam, and I thought, well, I'll still interviewing around. We'll do a little bit more. Maybe we'll take on small projects for people. And so first opened our doors at a coffee shop in a DC metro station. Woo. First office. And the metro is like the DC version of the subway, which, side note, I don't recommend really for anyone to ever use that as an office station, because a lot of interesting characters pass through metro station coffee shops. I had the police called at least once, maybe twice. We can get to that later. But kept gaining momentum from there. And then right after that, I actually had the most important job I think I've ever had, and it's the one I didn't get. It was a pretty high up content creation position and a little bit of admin work for a congressional office. Congressman from Arizona. It went really well, was in the cycle for about 3 weeks, did a bunch of interviews, actually went in, through security into the Capitol building, got to walk around some of the private rooms there. And right before I was going to start, they had a huge leadership change at the top, and they restructured the whole office. And dissolved the position I was going to fill.
No.
Which at the time I was like, well, tough. But it was the first time I had interviewed for anything like that. It was definitely akin to business creative for a congressional office, and I loved it. And I realized, wait, I think I actually want to do this. So even though I didn't get the job, it totally changed my perspective on work and what was possible. Prayed about it a lot, and decided to go full bore into Triumph right after that. So a client I picked up it's the only client I've ever gotten just randomly in public. It was at that DC Metro coffee shop. To this day, I don't know how this happened, but I was just working remotely on my computer on a different client project. Came up to me and was like, hey, sorry, do you do, and he asked about this like business admin question. I said, actually, yeah, that's kind of exactly what we do. So I helped him out for a couple weeks. Really nice guy, he's a pet photographer. Wow. Which was cool.
What a niche.
Super nice guy, yeah. All these admin things kind of stacked up. He's a good dude. We finished the project and I did not renew, but I wish him the best. His dogs were cute. He has a shirt made by us he's wearing somewhere right now. So
I got one you made me that's all red. Says, God loves low overhead. Team, put that right here. God loves low overhead. The whole idea behind God loves low overhead is the fact that the creator, he created this entire universe. And when he designed this earth, he said, be fruitful and multiply. I don't think he designed us as humans to be stressed out, worrying about paying our bills all the time. And so navigating through life, I mean, there's seasons of growth where it's like right now, I don't know how I'm going to grow my team other than just finding good people to help carry the load.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Because you are crazy busy right now.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Do you mind sharing something that happened when you were starting up that was devastating?
Oh, sure. Where to pick? As you know, that's I think the thing that I didn't realize. I'm sure a lot of people don't. When you really do put your own stake in the ground, like you were saying, start your own thing. You're it, man. There's no one else you're collecting the check from. If you screw something up, you gotta go out and find new clients. And I actually, they'll remain nameless just in case, because I feel like they might be on YouTube. I love all you guys. But I could have more early days. I had one client where I had no business sense at that point. I'd gone to business school, but there's a big difference in then actually getting out there and doing stuff. And we were working on something for them. I just physically needed them to purchase a couple things that they needed for themselves, but they were doing it through us. And I didn't have the presence of mind to get their card to do it. I paid for them on my Triumph card and then just like assumed that everyone's a good person and would pay for it. And flash forward like 2 months, still haven't paid for it. So, wow. But looking back, like how dumb is it that I bought wholesale stuff for someone else on our card when we weren't marking it up? Like I could have just had them buy it. It wasn't like I was getting any markup out of it.
Yeah.
So it's the little things like that. You just good business admin stuff. You should not.
Oh man, I made the same mistake. I made the same exact mistake, except for on the good news, my clients paid me back.
Oh, good. All right. I appreciate that. Yeah.
But the mistake I made was in a meeting with the client. It was all verbal. And they were talking about the needs of their business and how they really wanted to expand into the local community. So I went home. I was so excited about giving them, because I had a golden nugget for them. I'm so excited. I'm like, this is my opportunity to shine. I send the owner a heartfelt message. Would love to help do this for you guys. Can we help implement this? This is going to drive traffic. If it doesn't, it's going to be on us. We'll eat it. Like we'll print out the QR codes for you. We'll make sure it links all to everything. Less than 20 minutes later, I get a response. It might have been quicker than that. We are terminating the contract immediately.
Brutal.
We would like a refund for half the month. We already shot an entire month of content.
Right. Yeah. You guys had fun.
I had edited most of it. And so I'm finding out that I think I need to take a communications course. Because the way I think stuff sounds over email gets read completely different by someone else.
That's a good word for anyone doing this stuff. Yeah, you gotta be really careful with the written communication. Yeah, how differently you can interpret it on the other end. That reminds me a little bit of another story. It's kind of along those lines.
Go for it.
For just talking about devastating failures to overcome, was working on a client project it was their web system. So it was a whole e-commerce platform we built for them. Everything worked great. We're super excited. They're doing their big launch. But I did what you were talking about, where I went a step beyond what they had asked, and I tried to put something else in. I was like, oh, this would be so cool.
And you know it works.
Oh yeah, it'll totally work. Nothing I do ever doesn't work. So, and I don't care that no one asked for it. This will be great. I could not even tell you why this is a setting, but somehow in the back end of the e-commerce platform, while I was doing that, I accidentally switched it to where I disabled every shipping zone except for Afghanistan. It was like alphabetical, and it hacked off every single one except for the first one, which in this case was Afghanistan. So they launch.
Oh, no.
The launch goes live. It gets an insane amount of traffic right away. And then I start getting a flood of angry emails from Yeah, at that point it was customers saying like, is this a fake website? Like, what is this, a joke? And I was like, what does that even mean? And I go in and the only location they can set is Afghanistan. And so all these people are trying to put in their US or Canadian addresses and it only will ship to Afghanistan. I was like, yep, that's it. We're done. There's no coming back from this.
It was like crashing and burning hardcore.
Oh my gosh, in the first 5 minutes of the launch too. So thankfully I was able to turn on everywhere that's not Afghanistan. And then I ended up having to cold email tons and tons and tons of people individually and apologize and try to explain. Some of them re-put in orders, some of them did not. The relationship survived, still actually a client with them. But just goes to show, don't let whatever comes out of the gates dissuade you. If I can mark every address as Afghanistan for an e-commerce company that's literally just built around web sales, you can bounce back from just about anything, I think.
Oh my word. Wow, that's a heavy one.
That was a long day. And night. That was a long day.
I have a question for you. Have you found any balance yet? Or is there such a thing as balance? Because I'm finding out that like my work is my life and I love it.
Sure.
But I'm also finding out I'm getting emails at like 9 p.m. at night and they expect me to answer.
Right. Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you handle that as the owner?
That's a fantastic question. I think it's something we're all still navigating. We talked a bit about Proverbs earlier. There's a verse, I think it's Proverbs 10:22. The internet can fact check me on that. I'm sure they will. But the blessing of the Lord makes rich and he adds no, it can be sorrow, or a lot of translations say toil with it. That's a verse I really had to sit on for things just like that. It's 10:30 at night. I'd like to hang out with my family or my friends, but I get an email from a client and they expect immediate response time. So I've tried to set healthy boundaries, even just with myself, where I will not go on social media or answer emails after a certain hour. I try to take a Sabbath every week. It's not always on Sunday. Sometimes it's like some random block Monday night into Tuesday morning, just depending on how projects fall. But trying to set at least some time to rest, particularly I think in our work, because you're very much into the creative. Most of our clients are creative facing. You do your best creative work when you've had a chance to rest a little bit, which can be tough, but you're really investing in the rest of your projects. If I take a few hours off on Sunday and don't do any work, it makes me better on Monday.
Absolutely.
And I have to tell myself that when I'm taking the time off, because it feels like when you're if I'm not working, we're not making any money. So it's tricky, but trying to find that balance and trying to just tell yourself that you're investing in
the future.
Yeah. Next week's project will be better if you rest a little bit today.
You guys are past the startup phase, but we're still like green. I don't know if that's appropriate to say for what you do because you're rocking and rolling really good.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. That's definitely appropriate.
Yeah.
You're on. Yeah, you're spot on.
How are you building systems in now, and what are you learning in order for things to run smoothly? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely makes sense. And this is going to sound cliche, and it's cliche until it's not, but working smarter, not harder. Do the work once, right? I'm sure you've run into this with editing. We do a lot of it's written content, so had it this way where you rewrite the same thing 9 times because there was miscommunication the first time. You didn't really understand what the client wanted, and now we're 9 tracks in, taking way more time. So as simple as it is, I think, and you hit on this in the beginning, and I think you were spot on, spending extra time finding out what the client really needs, maybe not even what they think they want, but getting down to the root of it, seeing what would really prosper them on this project, and knowing that from the outset rather than diving headfirst with half of an idea and then you get halfway through and realize, oh, this is not the way we should approach that. That's been the biggest thing for us that's really improved efficiency, improved project time, is maybe taking a whole extra day on the front end to really map out where we're going with this thing.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times it's interesting because you find working with even myself or the client, halfway through that, they start realizing, oh man, we actually need to go in a different direction than we thought. Yeah, it'd be more effective.
100%.
Yeah, and it ends up being a far better final product. The results are better. So investing in the front end, which can be tough to do because you want to get right to it.
With Triumph, what are some things that you guys have been working on this year that have really like filled your adventure tank, that have filled your purpose tank?
Man, what a fantastic way to ask that question. I love that. It's been a great ride, especially I think the summer, right? So we're shooting this in July, and I'd say we've taken a marked turn, which I'm sure you related to this too. You start out kind of general and you narrow down a little bit, and we still do help businesses from all walks of life, if you will, but we're starting to pick up a lot more creative steam to where we're doing business admin work and even creative content, brainstorming, collaboration with creative clients. So either clients who need creative content for their regular business or in the creative world, and they need help navigating, the business aspects of it. And that has definitely filled the stoke tank to the point where we're shifting gears a little bit. We're working on it. It's not gonna be an overnight thing, but we had Triumph Business and we had Triumph Creative were the two kind of wings of Triumph, right? Like the business services one and then creative services. We're starting to turn Triumph Creative more into, you think of it as like a reimagined label almost, but instead of these power dynamics where we're kind of screwing over all of our creative artists. We're taking a ton of percentages and we give them some capital and then we own them sort of thing. It's more we're helping them navigate the business aspects, and we're excited to expand into soon the legal aspects of the creative world.
Wow.
Protecting their own content, creating their own content.
We need that help.
Awesome. We're happy to talk after. And then from there, rather than them being like label artists that we own, we just collaborate with them. So we have some of our own. We've got some great people that we worked with who are friends of mine who even just this past week pitched to me some creative content ideas to actually produce some stuff.
Wow.
And so what we would love to do is people who we represent and protect and help navigate. There's no strings attached. They can opt in, they can opt out, but if they want to be a part of the collaborative, we actually can bring all these creatives together and let them create stuff in that ecosystem, sort of cross-pollinate, which I'm really excited about.
That's incredible.
So that's definitely got the adventure tank filled right now. We're working on it.
That's huge for us creatives.
Yes.
So Jonathan, I would love to hear a overview of what you all would like to be known for as a business.
Like that.
And what type of legacy you would love to leave.
Not a loaded question at all. I appreciate it. But no, it's a great question, though. I do appreciate it.
It weighs like 50,000 tons.
It's going to sound a little bit weird, but hopefully I think I'll be able to explain it. Our mission to be known for joy. And what,
Bam.
prophetic.
Could not have been perfect.
Didn't even see
we
that.
We did not plan this.
Product placement. We've been talking about this a lot recently, thinking about it, praying about it. And what I mean by that is what we really exist to do is help people chase what they think is their calling, their vision, their passion, and release joy in their lives. That's the end game, is that they're joyful because they were able to do what they feel like they've been called to do. And we want to see that with every client we work with, that they just remember like, oh man, because of Triumph, I have so much joy in my life now, getting to do these things that I feel like I've been called to do. I think it's in Romans. It says that the kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
So joy is literally a third of this whole thing, but I feel like it's a third that gets hit on the least. And so we feel like that's our niche, is to just, when we come in, it's like you said, it's still a professional relationship, but if we do our job right and professionally, we want to release joy by the time we leave.
Absolutely.
If we leave and everyone's upset, we definitely didn't do something right. Or they're in the wrong line of work, and we should have figured that out up front.
Oh man, that was good. You answered it perfectly. So what gifts do you know you have?
Oh man. So this is, okay, I think, right? I've just been told this. I can't confirm because it's me. I think as far as strengths go, and it's important, especially when working with creatives, is I grew up with two sisters. I'm the youngest. I can listen because I had to survive growing up. I had to be able to listen. And I feel like that helps a lot with clients, is I can do a pretty good job of listening. I've been told, clients, you can fact check me on this in the comment section. And that is so important, particularly when you're running your own thing.
Yeah.
Because I have found that I usually don't, not even do I not have all the answers, I usually don't even have half. But just even just listening to people on my team, stuff they will say in passing that I'll listen to and I'll think about later, and it will unlock so much value. They're seeing things that you're not seeing. For example, well, there's a girl who, inner circle team member, is phenomenal. She's bilingual, so anything we do that has she's bilingual in Spanish, has and Hebrew actually. She's brilliant, and she'll go to coffee shops all the time and just talk to random people.
Wow.
Which is a talent in and of itself. I worked, like I said, we started in a coffee shop. I wasn't talking to anybody when I was in the coffee shop. I was just keeping my own. And through those conversations, she has come back with some incredible takeaways. We changed the whole thing we were doing with our online articles because she talked to an actual family that ran a business who were from, I think it was Nicaragua, maybe Guatemala. They had immigrated here. And she was talking to them about Triumph and how we had some Spanish resources. Through that conversation, she found out, she came back, she's like, oh, actually, like, they don't need this, they need X instead of Z. And so we started doing that instead, and it's way more helpful for people, but it's something I never would have picked up on, and I wouldn't have taken the time to listen to someone I don't know at a coffee shop explain it to me. Listen to your team. They're some of your best resources you have. Being humble too, that's so true too, yeah.
One thing I've learned, keep your cool. Do not get emotional on calls.
That's good.
In person.
That's good, yeah.
Or an email, over text. No, you have to retain the emotion. I think that as creatives, we're very emotionally driven.
Absolutely. Which can be good, but also can be a problem.
It can be an absolute curse.
Yeah. Be careful.
Yeah. And my question for you, Jonathan, can you walk me through how you listen better? How I can listen better? So just like give a little coaching session.
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. I definitely don't feel qualified to teach on it, but I would just say you actually already nailed it. It's humility. Because I've also noticed that in the beginning, which is ironic because I really, looking back, I had no idea what was going on, but I thought I did. And so people would talk, but I wasn't coming from a place of humility. And so I would be like, yeah, okay, sure. And even if I was listening, I wasn't really listening. I wasn't planning to do anything with it. It was the way I was approaching what they were saying. Whereas now, coming in from a place of humility, listening intently, planning to use this, right? So before, they really had to impress me to get me to take any of what they said. Now it's, they really have to say something really dumb to get me to throw this out. I'll try to find some gold in here, because even if I disagree with the premise or their final point, like knowing there's something in there we can use. So that's been the biggest thing for me, is just every day having to come at it from a place of humility. They'll always surprise you. It'll be that client that hasn't done anything right, that at the last day randomly says something that's brilliant, and you're like, I'm mad that I now have to credit you with this, but you're spot on. So, and I'll have to be humble enough to run with it. We'll have to use this. This is great. And so that's really I'm still learning. I'm sure, next time we do this, hopefully I'll have something more, but never hurts to be humble. I've never seen anyone get in trouble being too humble, and not in the walk all over you sort of sense. Still definitely, take respect in your work and stick up for yourself, but just being willing to listen, realize that people have good ideas who aren't you. Yeah. Kind of thing.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Jonathan. And I have a question that's been burning on my heart, and thank you for just letting me popcorn this back and forth.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
How do you set expectations with your clients for deliverables?
That is a phenomenal question, because that is probably what we messed up the most in the beginning. The most problems, people are upset. I can only imagine it from you're in production with the visual, because people do not do a good job articulating what they actually expect, right? And so then they're asking you kind of be a magician rather than a producer. What we've tried to do is it's totally a billable hour system in general. So we're not going to sit down and just start charging you by the hour and try to put something together. Up front, we try to build a project out as specific as we can. Obviously, if they need creative help, they can't come up with the whole creative concept, because then why are they using us? But we try up front to have at least a skeleton of what this whole thing is going to look like and how much time we expect it to take. And once they sign up on that, that's going to be our final price point. If it takes me 8 hours longer than it should have to do this, I'm not billing them an extra 8 hours. I'm sticking to the original product price.
Same.
So when it does go long, I found that they're much more understanding, because they're not paying for extra time. If it's an extra day, but it didn't cost them anything else, okay, that's one thing. If it's an extra day and we're over budget, now there's much more to navigate through. That's how we've started trying to set expectations, is to really scale the project up front. And it's harder because not every project really works like that. If a commercial, we don't produce the commercials right now, but we've written a commercial before for someone else to produce. But it's like, what does that even mean? Like, do you have
exactly.
How long do you want it? What do you want it? They're like, oh, well, maybe make it funny. Like, that's fantastic, but is my sense of humor your sense of humor sort of thing. So it's definitely something you're navigating on every project, trying to say as much as you can up front, and then just being patient with people, because there are going to be people who do dumb things, as I'm sure you have to find out all too often.
Yeah. It's been difficult trying to get expectations. That's probably my biggest hurdle right now, is getting crystal clear expectations, but yet not becoming an order taker that's like a zombie. You don't want to become a production worker with just a receipt that you follow, like a recipe that you follow. There has to be a creative direction and a creative feel, but there has to be somehow inputted crystal clear expectations on what this video needs to accomplish. But then as creatives, we can take liberty. Now I'm trying to find a way to build that back in, because the easy route is right there every time. The easy route is stock footage, AI voice generator, and AI voiceovers. That's the easy route.
I don't think so. We actually ran some testing on that, where we did a campaign of stuff where we used one of the really popular ones online, the AI voice generators.
Was the girl?
So it was one that has the girl and the guy. So it's not like the one you hear on TikTok, but it's the other one where if you heard it, you'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that voice sort of thing. And they bombed. They absolutely bombed. We ran the exact same type of content and length, honestly, with slightly less production value, with a real person talking, and it did so much better.
That's incredible.
Same algorithm too. It's coming from the same account.
Really?
Yeah, I have data points for that. So, I would think...
Could you send me some data points on that, or is it confidential?
Yeah, no, for sure. I can definitely say that. But I'm talking, we did a whole series of the AI ones, and...
I've been trying to tell my peeps this. I've been trying to tell my clients
it's a real thing.
Because AI is the easy route.
Yeah.
Everybody can smell.
And so it's the floor. Everyone's using it. So it sounds super, it just drones. It's not as interesting. And I think deep down as people, you can kind of hear it, even if it's really good. Something in you is like, yeah, it's kind of off. You don't like it as much, even if subconsciously. Yeah, that's a perfect word.
There's no soul in it.
There's no soul in it. It doesn't feel genuine.
I really appreciate you sharing that, Jonathan, because I think it's our job to put in the extra work. Stephen Covey said that one of the 7 keys of success, one of the main ones, is always to sharpen. Saw cuts through wood, but if you don't keep those teeth sharp, you are screwing yourself over. Mm-hmm. And so myself, I'm trying to keep the axe sharp, that cutting edge. But we're running up against closing time here. Shameless plug time.
Oh, I love shameless plug time. So all of it, whole web presence, triumphllc.org. Keeping it easy, so you can look us up there. And then we're also on Instagram at triumph.diy. Because our Instagram is really based around, well, honestly, memes, but then also helping people launch their own projects. So even if they're not directly working with us, we got a bunch of resources, and we also are always happy to connect people for free. So if you need a connection in an area, we've worked with enough people now, we probably know someone, even if we don't know the answer. And we're always happy to refer, no strings attached sort of thing. We're all domestic right now, but we love working everywhere in the US. My favorite project, I can't say my favorite, they're all my kids, but some of my favorites have been in Phoenix,
Arizona.
Yeah. So we actually love Phoenix. It's super random how we got connected out there, but adore Phoenix. Out west, do a bunch of stuff. Same with Denver, Colorado. We've been there. One of my closest friends who he's not a member of our team, but he's definitely in our circle. I call him when I need some sound. He runs a startup out there, Advice. He's in Denver, so we have a presence in Denver. And then from working for the Fed, like we talked about earlier, I've been in DC a bunch. So those are probably our hubs, is like that West, Denver, Phoenix, Arizona, Texas, little bubble right there.
That's beautiful.
And then Washington, DC. And then you and I are down south where it's hot but beautiful all the time. So absolutely anything down south. We'll go wherever. My family's originally from up north.
Congrats.
Yeah, so we'll go wherever. And we have so many good stories, which I'm sure we can get to another one of just
absolutely
nuts stuff that's happened with clients in various cities and whatnot.
Oh my word. Yeah, that's just beginning. And do you have anything you want to share with the audience of wisdom and advice for our peers? We're not here to advise, try to be like gurus or anything, but we want to catalog the journey. So we're throwing a stake in the ground today with this podcast and video, but like, what advice do you have for your younger self that someone could take?
That's good. Find your calling, right? Find your lane. All this is going to be from the faith perspective from us, because there's just no way. That's where we're coming from.
You can't detach.
You can't detach to, right? So I'm seeing all that through that lens. So the people seeing that, they'll understand. Find what you really feel the Lord's called you to do, and then get in that lane and don't look back. Pedal to the metal, go for it. Stick with it, you will succeed. If you're in the lane you were called to do, nothing is going to be able to stop you. Looking back, even with, I only hit on like a handful of the failures in the beginning. There's a lot of other dumb stuff that I did. If it wasn't for the Lord giving us the grace to keep going through, this thing would have tanked 4 or 5 times already. But because I really do feel like we're in what we've been called to do, can't be stopped. If you stick with it, simple diligence and perseverance. Once you find your lane, unbelievable where you can go with it. Don't get discouraged, but don't subscribe to, I've heard a lot of people say, if you're starting your own thing, you should expect it to be underwater for the first couple of years. You're not going to make money for the first 3, 4, 5 years. Don't have those expectations. I understand that's how a lot of these things operate, but if you're in your calling, you can do stuff supernaturally well, supernaturally quickly. There's no reason that you can't be profitable year one.
Thank you for saying that.
And I think so. Don't come in with that negative expectation of this is going to have to fail before it succeeds. It might. Don't give up, but it doesn't have to. You can succeed year one.
Yeah. So how can people invest in your company?
Follow us on Instagram.
Heck yeah.
Because especially right now, as we're trying to build that creative collaborative, we're looking for content delivery routes. So right now, nothing that we haven't gone into production side of everything yet, but we're still deciding how we want to deliver that to the people.
Okay.
A way to contact them is always great. Going to the websites, newsletter, same thing. Just kind of sticking with the storyline as we move forward here. Or if you have any creative friends who you think anything we've said sounds like they might want to be a part of, label type help and resources without the expectations of signing away percentages of your work.
Exactly.
Everyone we work with, we want them to retain their full creative rights for what they do.
Give me a 50,000 foot perspective of what you're doing as a business right now for your clients.
Perfect.
Top 3 things that you're doing.
Sure. I appreciate you. It's because when you're the founder, it all makes sense in your head. But,
same here.
Right. But then you're trying to explain it to someone. I have people all the time like, what do you do again? So from the 50,000 foot view to breaking the 3 pieces, we have three wings, so to speak. Our business side, we're purely doing business admin work for startups, for growing companies, and for family-owned companies. We'll occasionally take on bigger corporate clients, but our goal is really to help the mom and pop, family-owned shops and whatnot. And that is just your general business consulting services, project work. So we're not just getting paid to give advice. SEO, copyright, web development stuff, we'll actually come in and build systems for you. We try to get boots on the ground. We don't want to just tell you what you should do. We want to tell you what we think you should do. And then if you like that direction, we'll actually implement it. So very implementation heavy, actually doing projects. We're in the trenches with them for all businesses. That's the business side. Our creative side has 2 fronts. We do creative work for businesses. So rather than, they might now need accounting help, but they need help writing this commercial, or they want to write a book for their business, but they want it to be interesting. We help other people self-publish. We don't want to try to steal creative rights from the authors.
Wow.
We'll walk them through. We have a couple supplier hookups who can help them become their own publisher. And so that really rounds out that creative leg. So it's doing creative work, but it's still for normal businesses.
Yeah.
And then
you're writing copy. You're writing like the backbone SEO of how people find those businesses.
Constantly. And a level up, right? Because if you just need pure word output, there are any sort of the chat GPT type solutions, which is actually, that's been one of the best things that's ever happened to us, because now those all sound the same.
Yeah.
And so now people actually need us more, because they're like, look, everyone has this base level and it's getting drowned out.
It's very vanilla.
Yeah. Can you help us take this up, weave story in here, make it funny, make it touching, that sort of thing. And that's what we want. That's the niche we wanted anyway. And so we've actually done more copy probably in the last few months as those things have proliferated, which has been great for us. That's why that sounds.
No, that's beautiful. And we use ChatGPT as well, but like we found that every time we used it to create a script, it was not good. We used it to prompt.
Yeah, prompt stuff, sure, but you're gonna have to do a lot of work on it.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on too much of a rabbit hole here, but do you feel like you already gave advice for your younger self? Thank you for that. What do you guys want to be known for in the future? I just want to follow back up just to make sure if we missed it. What do you guys want to be known for in the future?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It actually ties in perfectly to what we want to be known for is what we're working on as the third leg of the stool, is the newest thing we're going to. That's really where we want to take this, what we want to become known for. And it's that reimagined label. It's not even the right word. Maybe a creative collaborative. We're still looking for the language behind it.
You mean like a creative network community?
Yeah, sort of. But
it's like, I'm also creating something like that too.
Yeah, I love the production network idea that you have. For us, it would be it's a little bit more intimate in that it's hand selected. We directly work with them and we're giving them the services that creative services. So for example, the people that we've lined up right now, some are in the acting space, some are in music, some are in self-production, not traditional screen acting, but maybe YouTube or other platforms like that. And we want a space where we're providing all the business services, legal protections for them, like a label normally would, but rather than take percentages away from them, we just want to collaborate. We want them to retain all their creative rights and find for lack of a better word, a creative way to do this where we can get the financial backing that we need. We can help them succeed. And then we voluntarily, anyone who's in, we want to start collaborating. So we've got musical artists over here who we've worked with and continue to work with. We want to see if you guys want to put a project together with these guys who are putting a short film together or a feature-length film together.
Soundtrack it.
Yeah, do you guys want to soundtrack this?
Sound score, sorry.
Sure, we're soundtracking depending on the film. All who are in kind of the Triumph creative ecosystem, right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
So universe, we're creating a little universe where they can all collaborate with each other, and then we put it out. We can distribute it, we can create it, and no one has to give up their own percentages because we all worked on it. And they also have their own careers that we've helped boost, sort of thing. So that's really where we want to go. There's some work that goes into it. We're adding the whole legal side of it. We're going to have a licensed JD on staff here soon.
I love how you're pursuing the legal. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's so important in the creative world, especially right now with the advent of streaming and everything else. So it's really tough to see how many people are getting taken advantage of by people who just know more about the law and emerging parts of the law. And I guess the most famous version in pop culture is the Taylor's version of all her songs, right? They had to re-record all of those songs to keep them. I understand legally why they had to do that. People in the comment section will definitely get it better than I could. There's a difference between songwriter rights and then who owns the master copies that the label recorded. And she didn't own those for stuff that she did, she wrote, etc. So now she had to re-record everything.
We're talking like years.
Oh, years of her life. And they do this to everyone. Taylor Swift had enough clout to where she can rectify it to a certain extent. But it makes you sick seeing what they do to all these different independent artists, and they don't really have a choice because they need the help. So our goal is to be able to help them put out their stuff without doing anything like that. We never want to own people's master tracks or the creative rights to their content. We'll be licensed it, sure, for the time that we have it. But when they, if they ever leave and want to do their own thing, we want to be able to give all of their stuff to them.
Wow.
And let them go with it. So, but a lot of legal work goes into that. You have to be creative in the legal space and you have to really understand the law to do it right. And so that's our biggest thing, is we are working on that right now. It's going to take a little time, but we'll get there.
I bless you as you continue this journey.
Thank you, man.
Do not be discouraged in well-doing. Some days it feels like a punch to the gut, but I know let's keep this iron sharpening iron thing going.
Absolutely. I feel like if you had a daily show, it would kill. Or a weekly show or a regular program, I would listen to the heck out of that.
Starting now.
Yeah. So if I can ever get on that, man, I'd be a guest anytime. I'd love hearing what you have to say on these topics too. And I think it would help people too. I really do think if I had this to listen to when we were first starting, I think it would have gone a long way. When you're not, because there's so much stuff out there, but it's almost disorienting. There's so many business podcasts. There's so many things. Everyone's got an opinion, and a lot of them contradict. So it would have been great to just have something more relaxed like this setting.
Yeah.
To just get some encouragement.
Absolutely.
Moving forward with whatever my project was.
Yeah. So if you're a small business owner or even just starting out, like, you got this.
Absolutely.
And write down your goals, write down the vision that God's given you. If you don't know what your goals are, your vision, but you have an idea of what you're good at, like, kneel down and ask the creator of this universe to give you clarity. So
I love what you just said there. Amen. Absolutely. Just ask.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
I think in James, I believe, I know what James says, that don't waver. Don't be like a wave of the sea going back and forth.
Double-minded man.
Stick to your guns when it comes to asking for stuff.
Yes.
And like, that is where we want to be as a creative agency.
Yeah, I'll be agreeing with you. Just because you guys do so much good, as you grow, the good just expand.
Jonathan, you're a baller. Thank you for just following the calling that God's put in your life. Keep up the good fight. And thanks again for being on the Xmenno Media podcast / Jojo Morris podcast.
Thank you. No, sorry, rather be on. Thank you for having me. I'm sure we'll be back too. This was phenomenal.
Thank you. Sweet. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate you, brother.
Bless you.